All right, there's something that not a lot of other coaches are telling you about avoidance, and it's this, that just because they've disappeared physically doesn't mean that they're not lurking behind the scenes. And I talk about this in a lot of my videos because a lot of you are very curious. What are they doing post-breakup, post-ghosting, post-divorce? What are they actually doing? Because it looks on the surface like they've fully moved on. Have you ever noticed them watching your stories, like watching your Instagram stories? Or maybe you just feel like an online presence lurking and you kind of feel like it's probably them, but they're never actually saying a word to you. Or you just catch them, I don't know, hanging around your neighborhood. Maybe they even like a random post from 3 months ago. And you think, what in the hell does this mean? What are they doing? They won't talk to me. They haven't responded to my text messages. What is actually going on here? Here's the thing, it does mean something, but probably not what you hope. And if you've watched my videos up to this point, you'll know that I tell the truth. I'm a truth teller. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you. My goal is to help you move forward and out of the patterns that are holding you back and keeping you stuck. So today I'm gonna explain exactly why your avoidant ex can't seem to stop watching you and why it's not a sign to go running back to them. In fact, it's the exact opposite, because it's proving to you that they haven't changed, they haven't grown, they haven't learned, they haven't evolved, they're probably not in therapy, etc. For those of you who are new to the channel, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a mindset mastery coach, transformational hypnotherapist, and attachment style specialist. And if you're thinking about working with me one-on-one, there's a link below. You can book a free 20-minute discovery call with me, and it's serious inquiries only at this time, guys, because I do have a lot of inquiries, and I'm only working with people, a certain amount of people per week, per month, that really want to invest in themselves, break the patterns, break the cycles, understand themselves, and move forward. So let's talk about this sort of need. I want you guys to understand that it's normal to want to feel validated. And you've been very invalidated by this person, especially if they ghosted you or left you with some BS excuse as to why they can't be with you. We're not compatible, or you chew your food the wrong way, or you said this 9 months ago, or whatever reason they gave you for breaking up. It doesn't even really make logical sense, because I hear that all the time from clients. When you care about somebody, of course you clock their presence. But even if it's just like a little profile bubble lighting up at the top of your screen, right? You're not crazy for noticing this. It is happening. They do still care. I talk to avoidance guys, I work with them. They do still care. It's just that they don't know how to show it. Remember, their core wound is, I am messed up at my core, right? Like, I am defective. I came out of the factory wrong. The settings are all off. I don't think I'm ever going to actually be okay. And they're afraid that you're gonna find that out. They're terrified of actually being found out for who they are. And it's maddening, right? Because you're like, well, they're watching me, but then they're not responding to a text message, or they leave you on read, or I don't know, you say, hey, do you want to maybe just talk about what happened? And they're like, no, thanks, not right now, I'm going through a lot. And then they never get back to you, right? Or they say, I'll get back to you, and then never do. I don't want you to think I'm ignoring you, but they are actually ignoring you. They are actually doing what avoidants do. They're avoiding, they're dismissing, they're putting it off, so they don't have to deal with it now or ever. They won't reply to your last message, but they're gonna watch your videos? What? Like, why? It feels like mixed signals, because honestly it is. And I want you to look back at the relationship and realize that the whole entire relationship, probably from 3 to 6 months on, was likely mixed signals, was likely more of the same, of you trying to decipher and decode their behavior and not understanding what's up, what's down. Are they really invested? How do they really feel? Do they love me? Do they hate me? What is happening here? Let's talk about the avoidant mindset for a few minutes. This is important. I think it's important to understand this so that you can then move forward from this and never attract another avoidant again. Not because they're bad people, but because simply they're not equipped to be in a serious, committed relationship. So here's what's really happening. The avoidants do miss you. They do think about you. They do probably still love you or have love for you. They'd probably say it like, I have love for that person, but I'm not in love with them. However they would phrase it to keep themselves distant and to still feel safe, but also be honest. So watching you from a distance is safe for them. It allows them to feel connected without really risky business, without risking true intimacy and true connection. So they're connected to you on some level, albeit very distant, right? Through a computer screen, but they don't actually have to be accountable They don't actually have to answer your questions. They don't have to get back into another relationship with you. They're safe from a distance. And sometimes I even hear from them, they'll say, well, I just want to make sure they're okay. Well, you're not in their life anymore. It's really not your job to make sure that person's okay. It's really not your business, honestly, right? It's none of our business what our exes are doing with their life. But we're human beings and we're curious creatures. And so most of us, right? Who hasn't stalked an ex? Like come on. Like MySpace, who hasn't wondered what an ex is doing, right? It's so normal. But for them, it's safe. Distance is safe. Lurking in the shadows, behind the scenes, behind a computer screen, that's safe. No vulnerability, no conversation, no accountability, and no risk of you asking them for more than they're willing or able or have the capacity to give, right? I want you to think of it like this. It's like they're sitting on the edge of the pool and dangling their feet in the water. I'm just seeing what's the temperature like here, right? But never, like very seductively, but never actually diving in. You're like, when is that person gonna go in? And you just like, sometimes you feel this desire to just push that person in who just won't go into the water. They get to feel the warmth, the nostalgia. They get to feel connected to you, you likely represented warmth and connection. Maybe they thought that you were the person that was going to save them from themselves. I think honestly, avoidants do. You were comfort. The comfort of knowing that you're still there is really important to the avoidant. But without the emotional risk of getting wet, right? If I just dangle my feet in, this is safe. I can't get pulled into the current if I just put my feet into the ocean. But if I go all in, up to the neck or underwater, I could get pulled under with the current. That is you, that is their ex, that represents something that they just don't have the capacity to hold on to. It really is about capacity. So this isn't always malicious. In fact, many times I think it's not malicious. It's just how they regulate connection. Like, their nervous system can only stand to be in connection for a certain period of time, and then they have to disconnect, guys. You have to understand this at a nervous system level, not from, oh, they hurt my feelings. I get it, but from a nervous system perspective and level. So they'll reach for you just enough to soothe their own feelings, not enough to soothe yours. You have to understand this. It's selfish. It's inherently selfish. Someone who thinks they're defective at the core can't really be much more than selfish, because they're constantly thinking about themselves and they're worrying about, let me make sure the mask is on tight enough, the walls are locked up, I'm all bolted in here, no one can get through. You have to go around like that. Imagine how exhausting and maddening that is. I don't know I've often wondered, do they look in the mirror and ever actually take the mask off? I think maybe there's micro moments of real connection and micro moments where they're connected to themselves. But honestly, I feel most of the time they're not even connected within to themselves. Why isn't this a green light, right? When the avoidant, when you see that they're lurking in the shadows, why isn't this a green light? Well, some of you you're like, duh, it's not a green light because they're not showing the capacity for an actual relationship. And if someone wants to get back together, they're going to say it, right? If someone misses you, they have the, right? They're going to speak it. They're going to say the words, hey, can we get together? Usually that's what you're doing. This is where a lot of people get stuck though. You see them watching and you think maybe they're softening, right? Maybe they're changing. Maybe they're going to come back around. Maybe this is the moment. This is the opening. Maybe they're trying to open a door and I have to decipher and decode. Guys, it shouldn't be that hard. You shouldn't have to decipher and decode someone's behavior. Okay, in a healthy relationship where both people are regulated most of the time, insecure, let's say most of the time, because we're human beings, we're never going to be secure all the time. Your nervous system couldn't actually handle that. It's not equipped for that. However, if they were really ready to re-engage, they would. Understand this. You accept this. Get that understanding. If they were ready to re-engage or get back together or talk or have a picnic, they would. They asked you out in the first place, right? Or they said yes to you asking them out in the first place. So they're capable of doing that. What this is telling you is you're still on their mind, but it's not an invitation. It's not an open door. It's literally like a crack in the screen. So chasing an avoidant who's still hiding behind a screen but not really saying anything puts you back in that painful push-pull cycle, and it's going to be a silent cycle this time. You're not even in a relationship and you're like, I feel like I'm getting devalued or discarded, or I feel like I'm getting broken up with every time I put myself back in the cycle. But you have to realize you're the one putting yourself back in the cycle at this point. So instead of asking, why are they watching me? I want you to flip the script and ask, why am I watching whether they watch me? Why does this matter to me? Why do I need to know? Because that right there, my friends, is where your power lies. Their views don't define your value or your worth, and their silence doesn't get to dictate how you heal, when you heal, okay? It doesn't dictate your healing timeline. It doesn't dictate your life anymore. This is your chance to take your attention back, your power back, your time, your energy, all of your resources back, and stop letting their quiet presence and really, I'm gonna say it, guys, cowardly, rent space in your head. Guys, understand, I'm gonna give you a challenge in a minute, but understand, your life is precious. Time is precious. This is your life every single moment of every single day. And every moment we spend waiting, wishing things were different is a moment where we could be accepting the reality of what is and pushing ourselves into greatness. Whether it's career, whether it's the legacy we're leaving, whether it's with our kids, whether it's just with self-worth, bettering ourselves, our health, our well-being, etc. I want you to understand that you're more than this relationship and what this person thinks or if they ever come back. So here's a practical action step and a challenge. I want you to mute them for a week, okay? Just mute them so you don't see if they like your story, you don't see anything. And you're gonna hide your stories from them, just hide everything. And some of you are gonna say, this doesn't apply to me. Fine, that's okay. Find another way to mute them. Get them out of your head. They're renting that space for free. And watch what happens when you break that energetic tie. Watch what happens when instead of thinking about them, you go, you know what, I'm gonna go for a walk. This is my signal to make myself a nice meal. This is my signal to go buy myself a juice. This is my signal to go call a friend, call my therapist, make an appointment, book one with Sarah, go for a walk, whatever. I want you to make different choices and do something different. And notice how much mental space they were taking up when you flip the script on yourself, right? And while you're at it, I want you to journal on this. What story am I telling myself about what it would mean if they actually came back? And is that even true? Probably not. You might realize that you're holding on to a fantasy rather than the actual relationship. So if you're tired of being stuck in this loop, tired of the sleepless nights, the ruminations, the wondering why, maybe even just feeling like a victim, anything that keeps you stubborn from moving forward in your life, book that discovery call. Let's get on a call together. Let's see if I can help you break this cycle. And do these things. Watch my hypnosis videos. They're free. Do these exercises that I'm suggesting in these videos, guys. Start to break free. Start to take accountability and understand this person is not equipped and doesn't have the capacity to honor you and your needs, but you can honor yourself and you can honor your needs. So let's start doing that today. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. All of these things boosts. It helps the channel and it helps me grow, obviously, which I'm doing and want to do, but it also helps people like you find my channel. This is YouTube's algorithm, so help it help other people who need to find my videos, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. God bless.